Hello students, welcome back. Let us continue with chapter 14, statistics, the last section of this chapter, which is measures of central tendency. So before I proceed with this topic, let us see what we have done earlier. We have learnt about representation of data in tabular and graphical formats for better analysis and interpretation. But so far what we also did is that we took into account all the data that was given to us. So now we need to ask the question, do we need to study all the data to make sense of it? For example, let's say it's your birthday and your mom has ordered biryani at home from a new caterer. Now you want to decide whether it's good or bad. Would you just take the entire bowl of biryani and have it? No, it's just enough that you take one morsel or one spoon of the biryani, taste it just to decide whether it's good or bad. Similarly, this was just an analogy for what I'm going to explain you further. Now, in measures of central tendency, we are going to learn three terms: mean, median, mode, and towards the end, after I have done all the solved examples, I am going to ask you the question, are mean, median, modes sufficient at all the times to analyze your data or not? So we will come back to this later in the forthcoming lectures. Now let us understand mean, median and mode in detail. So to get started with mean. What is mean? Mean is nothing but average. Average is what? It's the sum of all observations upon total number of observations. And it is usually denoted by any variable. So I am taking x with a bar and it is read as x bar. So x is equal to sum of all the observations, the same thing actually, sum of all observations upon the total number of observations. I will also tell you what exactly median and mode are, but I am not going to go into detail right now. That will come along in the forthcoming lectures with examples. So this was your mean. We have median. Median is nothing but the center value of all observations when the observations are arranged in ascending or descending order. So I hope you know what is ascending and descending. Ascending is wherein you arrange the observations from the lowest to the highest, whereas descending would be from the highest to the lowest. And mode, it's the observation that repeats the most. So for examples of these, I will give you a very small example before we get started with the solved example. So let's say I have 5 observations and the 5 observations are 4, 8, 10, 10 and 10. So how many observations do I have? These are 5 observations, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So what is the mean going to be? Mean is going to be x bar, which is the sum of all the observations. So sum of all the observations would be 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 8 plus 4 upon 5. So 38 plus 4 is 42 upon 5, which is 5 8s are 40, 5 4s are 20. So the mean is 8.4. Whereas the median is the middle value. So fortunately everything is arranged in ascending order. So the middle value is going to be 1, 1, 2, 2. So this is the middle value. So median is 10. Whereas what is the mode? Mode is the number that is repeating the most often. So out of these 5 numbers, 10 is repeating most often. So mode is also 10. Now moving back to median, this was 5 numbers that we had. So what I did for simplicity, I cancelled one term on the left, one term on the extreme right. Then again I cancelled the term and one term here, so I was left with just one term here in the center. So these were 5 numbers, that is odd numbers. What if you would have had even numbers? Let's say if your data was 4, 8, 10, 10, 10 and 3. How would you find the median? If you cancel these two, you're left with 2 numbers. How do you find the median? You're going to take these two middle values and you're going to take their mean or the average. So 10 plus 10 divided by 2, which is 20 divided by 2, which is 10. If this number would have been, instead of 10, let's say it was 15. So you would have taken 10 plus 15, which is 35 upon 2. Sorry, 25 upon 2, which is 12.5. So this is just a brief of what we are going to learn with examples, but I hope you've got the basic idea of what exactly mean, median and mode are. Now, I hope you've taken a note of this and you got the basic idea before I proceed with example number 10 on page 262 of your textbooks. Alright, so the question reads, 5 people were asked about their time in a week they spent in doing social work in the community. They said 10, 7, 13, 20 and 15 hours respectively. Find the mean or average time in a week devoted by them for social work. So there are 5 people who were questioned that as to how much time they devote for social work in 1 week. So person 1 said he devoted 10 hours in a week for social work, whereas person 2 said he devoted 7 hours and so on, till the last person, the 5th person, said that he devoted 15 hours in a week for social work. Now we need to find the mean or average. So we have learned that mean is given by x bar is equal to sum of all observations upon total number of observations. So what you can do is, in the numerator you can write 10 plus 7 plus 13 plus 20 plus 15. But this is something, see, we are studying maths. So in maths we take into account a lot of variables. So instead of just writing these numbers just as they are, we are going to give them assign them a variable, because these values can fluctuate. Let's say person 1, he's found extra time from the next month and he's planning to spend 12 hours instead of 10 hours in future. So now we would have to go and make changes everywhere where 10 is present. But if you assign it a variable, let's say x1, then you will just have to make change, x1 will remain unchanged, right? You will just have to change the value of x1, because let's say this is your house, okay? So this is your variable. Now the location of your house is going to remain unchanged. Let's say you are 4 people in the house, but your granny has come to visit you. So another person gets added and there are 5 people. So you see the location, the variable remains unchanged, whereas the value inside can change, right? That's the reason I'm going to assign variables. Let x1 be equal to 10, x2 be equal to 7, x3 be equal to 13, x4 be equal to 20 and x5 be equal to 15, right? Therefore, x is going to be x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 plus x5 upon the total number of observations. We know that this is 5. So 5. Now this is going to be 10 plus 7 plus 13 plus 20 plus 15 upon 5. So let's calculate. 10 plus 15, 25, 25 plus 20, 45, 45 plus 13 is 58, 58 plus 7 is going to give me 65. So 65 upon 5, which is going to be 5 ones are 5, 5 threes are 15. So your mean or x bar is going to be 15. So this was for very small data, right? Small number of observations that we had. We had just 5 observations. What if you had, let's say, 30 observations or so on. What would you do in this case? So for this, now you just can't keep going writing x1 up till x30, right? So for this there is another notation, it is called sigma or summation, and it is denoted by this. So instead of writing an inverted 3, it's just like, so this is nothing but sigma or summation. It's a Greek letter which denotes that the values after this needs to be added. So in this, see now how we are going to denote this. I am going to say x is equal to summation of I equal to 1 up to 5 xi upon n. This will be up to n. So what does this mean? Summation of I is what? This subscript out here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These are going to be the subscripts. So from 1, what is n? N is the number of observations. And this is x bar, okay. So this is the number of observations. How many observations do we have? We have 5 observations. So it will go, in our example, it will go from summation I is equal to 1 up to 5 xi. I remains unchanged, and here as well we have n, which is the number of observations, so this will become 5. And now what does xi mean? It is just like you keep going on in a loop. So in the first loop, you are going to take I is equal to 1. So this is nothing but x1. Then in the second loop, you take x is equal to 2. So plus x2. Why am I putting this plus sign over here or inserting this plus sign over here? Because this is summation, which signifies that you have to add the terms from 1 to 5. So x1 plus x2, then the third one. And you're going to keep going on in this loop until the 5th term, because you're going from 1, I1, I2, I3, I4 and I5, right? I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2, I is equal to 3 until 5. So your loop goes repetitively. It's like a program, right? So x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 plus x5 upon 5. So again you will get this answer. This is just for simplicity. Why did I teach you this example or this new denotion sigma? It's because in this case we had very few number of observations. For observations as large as 30 or hundreds or thousands, you will need this later on. Alright, so I hope you've understood the basic of what exactly mean is. We will take a look at more examples and the other 2 topics, median mode, in the forthcoming lectures, and I will come back to this question at the last, just before we get started with the exercise. Thank you.
Hope this video increased your knowledge. For more such videos and a completely free educational content, log on to www.epathshala.org or visit our ePathshala YouTube channel. We have each and every question solved for maths, physics, chemistry and biology. So subscribe our channel, share with your friends, like our Facebook page and follow our Twitter handle for regular updates and important educational tips, and also win ePathshala goodies. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe this channel and enjoy the freedom of education.